A fight over how to divide the shrinking waters of the Colorado River is coming to a head, and time is quickly running out. The 7 states that rely on the river, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, Arizona, California, and Nevada, are just days away from their November 11th deadline to reach a new framework on how to manage the river's dwindling supply. If they fail, the federal government has warned it will impose its own plan. The current agreement is set to expire at the end of 2026, adding even more urgency to the negotiations. The dispute centers on how to share the burden of water cutbacks during dry years. The Upper Basin states, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming, argue that they already use less than their legal share and should not be forced into mandatory reductions. In contrast, the Lower Basin states, Arizona, California, and Nevada, insist that all 7 states must share the pain equally. This week, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs publicly criticized the Upper Basin states for what she called an extreme negotiating position. A plan where we shoulder the entirety of the water reductions while not one single acre-foot is put on the table by the Upper Basin states is an unacceptable outcome for Arizona families, farmers, and businesses, Hobbs said at a conference in Tucson, according to the Arizona Daily Star. She urged the Trump administration to step in and broker an agreement, warning that Upper Basin states continue to run down the clock as negotiations stall. Gene Shawcroft, Utah's Colorado River Commissioner, struck a more positive tone. He said the states are making steady progress toward a framework agreement and remain focused on aligning around key issues by the deadline, even if the finer details take longer. These are incredibly complex negotiations and we're continuing to work through some challenging issues, Shawcroft said. Utah remains fully committed to defending every drop of Colorado River water to protect our communities and water users. He added that he hopes the states can finalize a proposal to submit to the federal government by February. If the eventual plan enforces mandatory cuts that Utah or other Upper Basin states reject, the issue could wind up in court. Likewise, if the Lower Basin states argue the Upper Basin is failing to deliver its required share, they could pursue legal action. The conflict is unfolding against a grim backdrop. The Colorado River Basin has no more water today than it did in 2022, when Lake Mead and Lake Powell hit historic lows. Despite some temporary recovery, experts warn the underlying shortages remain dire. We're sort of like the frog in the pot of water whose temperature keeps getting a little bit hotter, said Jack Schmidt, Professor Emeritus of Watershed Sciences at Utah State University. We've now gotten kind of used to it, but we have a serious problem right now. Roughly 80% of the Colorado River's water goes to agriculture, and more than half of that supports livestock feed crops such as alfalfa and hay. Schmidt argues that this agricultural dominance provides flexibility and opportunity. We simply have to change how we allocate and use water, he said. From that perspective, we don't have a crisis, we have choices. In parts of Utah, those choices are already being made. Some farmers are earning money by letting fields lie fallow, taking a break from planting and leasing their unused water back to the government. Studies show these voluntary conservation programs are among the most cost-effective tools for saving water across the Colorado River Basin. The leadership gap at the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, the federal agency overseeing the river system, adds another layer of uncertainty. President Donald Trump nominated Arizona water expert Ted Cook to lead the bureau earlier this year, but his nomination was withdrawn in September. Cook later told the Associated Press he'd been sacrificed on the altar of political expediency. A deputy chief has been serving as acting commissioner since January, just as one of the most consequential water negotiations in U.S. history nears its breaking point. As the clock ticks down to the November 11th deadline, the 7 states are racing to find common ground. Whether they reach a deal or face federal intervention, one thing is certain: the battle over the Colorado River's future is far from over.